The National Electrical Code, specifically Section 300.7, mandates that raceways entering enclosures must be sealed. The purpose of this requirement is to prevent the passage of moisture and gases into the enclosure. This is particularly crucial for service entrance raceways, as they are directly exposed to environmental elements, increasing the risk of water intrusion into the electrical panel. Corrosion on panel bus bars is a prevalent issue and can be attributed to several factors. Firstly, moisture and condensation are significant contributors. Secondly, heat can accelerate the corrosion process. Thirdly, exposure to chemicals can also lead to corrosion. And fourthly, loose connections can exacerbate the problem. To effectively prevent corrosion on panel bus bars, proper sealing of the service entrance raceway is essential. Several materials can be used to achieve this. Firstly, caulk, which is a flexible material suitable for sealing gaps and cracks around the raceway. Secondly, mastics, which are sealant types typically employed for sealing joints and seams. And thirdly, sleeve seals, specialized fittings designed to seal the raceway at its entry point into the panel. By correctly sealing the service entrance raceway, the risk of corrosion on panel bus bars can be significantly reduced, ultimately extending the lifespan and reliability of the electrical system. Consider the environment where the electrical panel is located. Is it prone to high humidity, frequent temperature changes, or exposure to corrosive substances? These factors will influence the choice of sealing material. For example, in a coastal environment, a sealant with high resistance to salt spray would be preferable. When selecting a sealant, it's also important to ensure that it is compatible with the materials of the raceway and the enclosure. Some sealants can react with certain metals or plastics, leading to degradation or failure of the seal. Proper surface preparation is critical for achieving a reliable seal. Before applying any sealant, the surfaces of the raceway and enclosure should be clean, dry, and free of any contaminants such as dirt, grease, or rust. Use a suitable cleaner and a wire brush or abrasive pad to remove any loose material. When applying caulk or mastic, ensure that it completely fills the gap or crack around the raceway. Use a caulking gun or applicator to apply the sealant evenly and smoothly. For larger gaps, it may be necessary to apply multiple layers of sealant, allowing each layer to cure properly before applying the next. Sleeve seals are typically installed by sliding them over the raceway and then tightening them to create a watertight seal. Follow the manufacturer's instructions for proper installation and tightening torque. After installing the sealant or sleeve seal, inspect it carefully to ensure that there are no gaps or leaks. If any imperfections are found, repair them immediately. It's also a good idea to periodically inspect the sealant or sleeve seal to ensure that it remains in good condition. Over time, sealants can dry out, crack, or become damaged, which can compromise their ability to prevent moisture and gas intrusion. If any damage is found, replace the sealant or sleeve seal as soon as possible. In addition to sealing the service entrance raceway, it's also important to ensure that the electrical panel itself is properly sealed. Check for any gaps or cracks in the panel enclosure and seal them with caulk or other suitable sealant. Also, make sure that all panel covers and doors are properly closed and latched. Consider implementing a regular maintenance program for your electrical system. This program should include periodic inspections of all electrical panels, raceways, and connections. During these inspections, look for any signs of corrosion, moisture, or damage. Address any issues promptly to prevent them from escalating into more serious problems. In some cases, it may be necessary to install a drip loop in the service entrance raceway. A drip loop is a section of raceway that is bent downward to allow any water that enters the raceway to drain out before it reaches the electrical panel. Drip loops are particularly useful in areas with heavy rainfall or high humidity. When installing a drip loop, make sure that it is located as close as possible to the point where the raceway enters the building. The bottom of the drip loop should be lower than the bottom of the electrical panel. The size and configuration of the drip loop should be determined by the size of the raceway and the amount of rainfall in the area. In addition to sealing the service entrance raceway and installing a drip loop, it may also be necessary to provide additional ventilation for the electrical panel. Adequate ventilation can help to reduce the buildup of moisture and condensation inside the panel. Ventilation can be achieved by installing vents in a panel enclosure or by providing airflow around the panel. When installing vents, make sure that they are properly screened to prevent the entry of insects and other debris. Also, make sure that the vents are located in a position where they will not be exposed to direct rainfall or other sources of moisture. If the electrical panel is located in a damp or humid environment, it may be necessary to install a dehumidifier. A dehumidifier can help to remove moisture from the air and prevent condensation from forming inside the panel. Choose a dehumidifier that is appropriately sized for the area where the electrical panel is located. Also, make sure that the dehumidifier is properly maintained and that the water reservoir is emptied regularly. In some cases, it may be necessary to apply a corrosion inhibitor to the panel bus bars and other electrical components. Corrosion inhibitors are chemicals that form a protective layer on metal surfaces, preventing them from corroding. Apply a corrosion inhibitor according to the manufacturer's instructions. Also, make sure that the corrosion inhibitor is compatible with the materials of the electrical component. If you are unsure about how to properly seal a service entrance raceway or prevent corrosion on panel bus bars, consult with a qualified electrician. A qualified electrician can assess your specific situation and recommend the best course of action. They can also perform the necessary work to ensure that your electrical system is properly protected from moisture and corrosion. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous. Always take appropriate safety precautions when working with electricity. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as gloves and safety glasses. Turn off the power to the circuit before working on any electrical components. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician to do the work for you. Consider the long-term benefits of properly sealing service entrance raceways. While it may seem like a small detail, it can significantly extend the life of your electrical system and prevent costly repairs down the road. Corrosion can lead to equipment failure, power outages, and even electrical fires. By taking proactive steps to prevent corrosion, you can protect your property and ensure the safety of your occupants. Stay updated on the latest electrical codes and standards. The National Electrical Code is updated every 3 years, and it contains important information about electrical safety and best practices. By staying informed about the latest codes and standards, you can ensure that your electrical system is compliant and up to date. When selecting materials for your electrical system, choose high-quality products that are designed to withstand the environmental conditions in your area. Look for products that are corrosion-resistant and that are specifically designed for use in electrical applications. Avoid using cheap or substandard materials, as they may not provide adequate protection against moisture and corrosion. In addition to sealing the service entrance raceway, consider sealing other raceways that enter the building. Any raceway that is exposed to the elements can potentially allow moisture to enter the building and cause corrosion. Sealing these raceways can help to protect your entire electrical system. When sealing raceways, pay particular attention to the points where the raceways enter the building. These are the most vulnerable areas for moisture intrusion. Use a sealant that is specifically designed for sealing penetrations through walls and floors. Regularly inspect the grounding system for your electrical system. A properly functioning grounding system is essential for protecting against electrical shock and preventing equipment damage. Check the grounding electrodes, grounding conductors, and bonding connections to ensure that they are in good condition and that they are properly connected. If you find any problems with the grounding system, repair them immediately. Consider using a surge protector to protect your electrical system from voltage surges. Voltage surges can damage electrical equipment and cause corrosion. A surge protector can help to absorb these surges and protect your electrical system. Choose a surge protector that is appropriately sized for your electrical system. Also, make sure that the surge protector is properly installed and grounded. If you are planning to build a new building or remodel an existing building, consult with a qualified electrician early in the design process. An electrician can help you to design an electrical system that is safe, efficient, and reliable. They can also advise you on the best ways to protect your electrical system from moisture and corrosion. Consider using non-metallic conduit for your service entrance raceway. Non-metallic conduit is resistant to corrosion and does not require grounding. This can simplify the installation process and reduce the risk of corrosion. However, non-metallic conduit may not be suitable for all applications. Consult with a qualified electrician to determine if non-metallic conduit is appropriate for your situation. If you are using metallic conduit for your service entrance raceway, consider using galvanized steel conduit. Galvanized steel conduit is coated with a layer of zinc, which provides protection against corrosion. Galvanized steel conduit is more expensive than other types of metallic conduit, but it is a worthwhile investment in areas where corrosion is a concern. When installing conduit, make sure that it is properly supported. Unsupported conduit can sag and become damaged, which can compromise its ability to protect the wires inside. Use conduit supports that are specifically designed for the type of conduit that you are using. Also, make sure that the conduit supports are properly spaced according to the manufacturer's instructions. When bending conduit, use a conduit bender. Do not try to bend conduit by hand, as this can damage the conduit and make it difficult to install. Use a conduit bender that is specifically designed for the type of conduit that you are using. Also, follow the manufacturer's instructions for using the conduit bender. When cutting conduit, use a conduit cutter. Do not use a saw or other cutting tool, as this can damage the conduit and create sharp edges. Use a conduit cutter that is specifically designed for the type of conduit that you are using. Also, make sure that the conduit cutter is sharp and in good condition. When connecting conduit fittings, use a pipe wrench. Do not use pliers or other tools, as this can damage the fittings. Use a pipe wrench that is specifically designed for the size of the fittings that you are using. Also, make sure that the pipe wrench is in good condition. When tightening conduit fittings, do not over-tighten them. Over-tightening can damage the fittings and make them difficult to remove. Tighten the fittings until they are snug, but do not apply excessive force. After installing the conduit, inspect it carefully to ensure that it is properly installed and that there are no gaps or leaks. If any imperfections are found, repair them immediately. Consider using a heat shrink tubing to seal the ends of the wires inside the conduit. Heat shrink tubing provides a watertight seal that can prevent moisture from entering the conduit. Choose heat shrink tubing that is specifically designed for electrical applications. Also, make sure that the heat shrink tubing is properly sized for the wires that you are using. When applying heat shrink tubing, use a heat gun. Do not use a lighter or other open flame, as this can damage the tubing and the wires. Apply heat to the tubing until it shrinks tightly around the wires. After applying the heat shrink tubing, inspect it carefully to ensure that it is properly sealed. If any imperfections are found, repair them immediately. Consider using a wire lubricant when pulling wires through the conduit. Wire lubricant can help to reduce friction and make it easier to pull the wires. Choose a wire lubricant that is specifically designed for electrical applications. Also, make sure that the wire lubricant is compatible with the type of wires that you are using. When pulling wires through the conduit, do not pull too hard. Pulling too hard can damage the wires and the conduit. Use a wire puller to help you pull the wires through the conduit. Also, make sure that the wires are properly aligned before you start pulling. After pulling the wires through the conduit, inspect them carefully to ensure that they are not damaged. If any damage is found, replace the wires immediately. Consider using a cable gland to seal the point where the wires enter the electrical panel. A cable gland provides a watertight seal that can prevent moisture from entering the panel. Choose a cable gland that is specifically designed for the size and type of wires that you are using. Also, make sure that the cable gland is properly installed according to the manufacturer's instructions. After installing the cable gland, inspect it carefully to ensure that it is properly sealed. If any imperfections are found, repair them immediately. These preventative measures will greatly extend the service life and avoid potential hazards that moisture and corrosion will cause.